You know that odd moment when you're talking to someone and, for reasons you can't quite explain, something inside you goes still for a second? It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's just this tiny inner pause, almost like your intuition is clearing its throat, trying to get your attention. Maybe they said, "I'm fine," or "It's no big deal," or "Don't worry about it." Yet something about their tone, or their eyes, or the way they exhaled at the end felt slightly off. Most people ignore that moment. They brush it aside, tell themselves they're being paranoid or that they're reading too much into things. But psychologists have studied these subtle internal reactions for decades, and it turns out your brain is not trying to confuse you. It's trying to protect you. It's picking up emotional patterns that slip through the cracks of someone's carefully chosen words. People think analyzing others requires effort, like you have to stare hard, ask probing questions, or have some Sherlock-level intuition. But the truth is much simpler and much quieter. Real psychological analysis isn't about trying, it's about noticing. It's about letting yourself observe what's already happening in front of you. It's hearing the tremor someone tries to smooth over. It's sensing the energy shift in the room when a certain name is mentioned. It's catching the one topic someone always dodges, no matter how casually it comes up. You don't force these insights. They arrive on their own when you stop rushing through conversations and start paying attention to the emotional currents running underneath. There's a concept psychologists use called emotional coherence. It basically means, do a person's words, voice, expressions, and body language match each other? When everything aligns, you feel safe around them. Their emotions feel clean, open, and easy to understand. But when there's even a small mismatch, your body detects it like a temperature drop. Someone says they're excited, but their shoulders slump. Someone says they're not mad, but their jaw tenses. Someone says they don't care, but their eyes flick away too quickly. These aren't conscious choices. Emotional truth leaks out of people in micro-expressions, tiny half-second flashes of their real feelings. And even if you don't know the scientific term for them, your subconscious notices every single one. Researchers estimate that more than 90% of emotional communication is nonverbal. 9-0. That means most of what people reveal about themselves never passes through their actual words. It shows in posture, breathing, pacing, silence, timing, hesitation, and the way their face shifts before they put their mask back on. So that uneasy feeling you sometimes get around someone, it's not rudeness, it's not overthinking, it's your nervous system flagging an emotional inconsistency before your logical mind catches up. You're analyzing people automatically, you just weren't taught to trust the data. And if you've always experienced this, if you've always picked up on tone shifts or felt drained after talking to someone who wasn't saying anything obviously negative, or sensed tension in friendships before conflict ever became visible, it doesn't mean you're sensitive in the fragile sense. It means you're sensitive in the perceptive sense. You notice the emotional fingerprints people leave behind when they speak. You hear what isn't being said. You understand people at a level that feels instinctive, even though it's actually a sophisticated psychological skill. What's even more interesting is that the best people readers are rarely the loudest or most socially dominant individuals. They're the observers, the ones who don't feel the need to fill every silence, the ones who seem calm even in chaotic environments because they're busy absorbing the room rather than performing in it. Psychologists sometimes call this low reactive attention, a form of awareness where you're not hyperactive or withdrawn, but quietly tuned in. You can notice micro-expressions other people miss because you're not mentally racing ahead or trying to control the conversation. You're simply present. When someone tries to appear confident, watch their hands. They're usually the last to lie. If they're fidgeting, rubbing their palms, or clenching their fingers, they're not as calm as they want you to think. When someone tries to seem unbothered, pay attention to their breathing. It becomes shallow and uneven. When someone acts uninterested, look at the eyes. They always linger a little longer than they should. These contradictions are not accidents, they're emotional slips, and every person, no matter how controlled, reveals themselves in small, unguarded moments. But it's important to remember that analyzing people is not about judging them, it's about understanding them. Most people aren't lying maliciously, they're lying protectively, to shield themselves, to avoid conflict, to hide their insecurities, to avoid feeling vulnerable. People often say what they think they should feel, not what they actually feel. They hide sadness behind humor, stress behind productivity, jealousy behind indifference, loneliness behind busyness. And your ability to sense the truth beneath the surface doesn't make you manipulative, it makes you emotionally attuned in a world where genuine attunement is rare. Once you start noticing these microsignals, something significant changes. You stop reacting to people's words and start responding to their emotions. You stop taking things personally because you can see the hurt or fear underneath someone's defensiveness. You ask softer questions. You give people more space. You listen with your whole presence and not just your ears. You understand that people reveal more through silence than they ever do through perfectly crafted sentences. Over time, your perception becomes almost like gentle X-ray vision for human behavior. You notice the tiny pause before someone answers a question, the micro flinch when a sensitive topic is mentioned, the slight brightness in someone's face when they talk about something meaningful to them. You see when someone is overwhelmed before they even realize it. You feel when someone is silently asking for reassurance. You recognize when someone is about to withdraw emotionally, and sometimes you catch it early enough to bridge the distance. This isn't mind reading, it's emotional pattern recognition. It's noticing what people's bodies say when their words are busy performing politeness. And honestly, sometimes understanding just this one principle, that truth leaks out through the smallest cracks, is enough to change the way you move through conversations forever. Because once you start listening past the words themselves, you start hearing people with a clarity most never reach. You realize you weren't overreacting. You weren't imagining tension that wasn't there. You were simply paying attention in a world that rewards distraction. And that is one of the most powerful psychological skills you can develop. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to subscribe. And if you want to support deeper, more meaningful dives like this, becoming a channel member truly helps. But either way, thank you for being here and for giving yourself permission to understand people with this kind of quiet, grounded depth. And maybe that's the strange beauty of psychology in the first place. The more you understand people, the less confusing human behavior starts to feel. You begin realizing that everyone is carrying invisible fears, emotional defenses, private insecurities, and silent coping mechanisms beneath the version of themselves they show the world. And sometimes, simply becoming aware of those hidden patterns changes the way you move through life, more patiently, more carefully, more compassionately. Because once you truly understand how much people reveal without realizing it, ordinary conversations never really feel ordinary again.